world oftentimes don't necessarily understand what they don't know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, real estate transactions so complicated. There's so many moving parts. There's so many things that could potentially go wrong. Yet the consumer only has this experience once every 7 years.
Right.
Where you and I, we have this experience week in and week out, and we've done so for years and years and decades. And so we recognize and we understand what the landmines are, what the pitfalls are, what the potential predictable problems are. And what I've seen is the consumer have more of a lack of awareness of that than when I started. And that's probably as a result of technology. They can go on Zillow and find any property they want, but that's not the service that we provide. The service we provide is making sure they don't get hit those landmines and making sure that they stay out of trouble. That would be my answer.
Right. It kind of does go back to technology. That's a cheat because they can find all that information. We do, like you said, they're finding the wrong answers for the most part because all of our
Yeah.
areas are so unique and different. How you're working in Virginia and how I'm working in California is very different, right? So people who are not from our areas and they come into our areas from somewhere else, they might have the wrong impression of how it works, and we have
Yeah.
to kind of debunk those myths and say, well, this is how it works here. You are here now. Like if we were in New York and they have attorneys, not that
Yeah.
do a lot of the work, not the agents. So, but yeah, technology is incredible. It's allowed us, well, to work even harder and more. And, but,
And not
but it
just the
does
way
help.
that, yeah, not just the way the transactions work or finding a home or whatever the case may be, but also, about like, for the consumer, what are they going to experience the day that they go under contract? What's that? They're going to be anxious. They're going to be excited. They're going to be scared.
Right.
They're going to be apprehensive, right? And so, a true professional, in my opinion, they teach to sell so that before they get to that process, they're already setting expectations of not just the transaction, but also the internal experience that the clients are going to have. And um, that's what I've seen and observed
Yeah.
to be able to have to provide a good service.
So that's a great statement. So I love to write and blog, and so when someone has a question, I usually turn that into a blog. So
Sure.
I have a whole presentation called "Demystifying the Downsizing Process" because the people who have been in their homes, 20, 30 years, they are just overwhelmed by all the contents in their home, and what are we going to do? So I have a whole break it down, and tell them you don't have to memorize this. If you invite me to your home, I can do it all, manage it for you. I have all the providers for you. And then same with the home buying experience. So again, a little technology, because if we're getting that across to more people through blogging or writing or sending an email with the breakdown, so we can demystify both the home buying process step by step, the title company, what are the different aspects that they don't know? Do you have a lender? Are you working with the right lender? So there's so many different things. Exactly.
So Debbie, so how is no not an option, and how have you stayed in the top 1.5%? Building a standout real estate career. How have you done that?
Well, annoying my family for sure, and anyone who comes in my path. Because if someone says they're too busy, I say stop. Don't say that, because you can't tell that. You can't say that to me. I will always fit it in. And like you said, I have a podcast. I'm on podcasts. I've written 4 books. I'm a full-time real estate agent. I also coach. I'm part of many different meetings and organizations. After this, I have my women's business council meeting. Anyway, you and I actually just got back from my Corcoran real estate conference with about 250 very successful agents. Makes me not look successful after seeing some of these people in New York. Those price points are incredible, and they are making multi-million dollars a month. But the key things, and I concur with all of them, is no is not an option. All of them at every level, every panelist who spoke, is they showed up for their client. Yes, you might be busy, but you work through it and you find the time to make the call, to show up for the appointment. I don't care if you're on the $1 million listing show, like the one guy, he said he shows up himself. People are surprised. Wow, I didn't know you were going to show up to show it. No, he is at the top of his game because he is showing up. And that's everyone across the board. Everyone puts their client first. Yes, we have to take care of ourselves. That's why we get up early and we have our morning routine. But it's really important. No ego, doing the little things. I mean, that's these last couple homes that we had listed. It's not a great market right now. So we had a couple homes listed and the people just didn't want to put money towards the gardener and different things. So my husband and son were over there. You know, we're all realtors and they're over there and they're clearly it's not what I do. I would say vacuuming the yard. They
I'm pretty sure it's not vacuuming the yard. I don't.
I'm not
Maybe
domestic
tending the lawn, maybe caring for the lawn.
blowing the leaves or
They're blowing the leaves. Let's go with vacuuming the lawn.
Anyway, we do whatever it takes. One of the little things is that I try to train the new agents and mentoring anyone is like, when you go to an open house, if you see that the bedspread is messed up, fix it. If you see a piece of paper on the floor, pick it up. I don't care if it's my listing or your listing or someone else's listing, just pay attention. If the vase is off, fix it. Like you have to be, so that's just an extreme, but I don't care how busy you are. And that's, I think, what elevates someone is because we are going above and beyond for our clients, for ourselves, for our brand. But you are, the client is usually super stressed. It's, they're moving. It's a huge thing, whether they're moving in or moving out. It's a lot of money. They don't do this like we do it. We can do it in our sleep. We do it every day in and day out, but they don't. So we can take off that pressure, and doing that, I think, really gets people referring you because they're like, Debbie and Adam did this and this and this. It's like, you're not going to find someone who works that hard. And we just closed a deal and they've had 3 agents prior. And they said, we've never met agents like you guys.
Yeah. And I think sometimes I've fallen for, I'm gonna be transparent. I have fallen for this trap throughout my career, ebbs and flows of it, where it's like you sometimes, because you do it day in and day out, you sometimes do forget about how stressful it can be for the client, how they're nervous, they're anxious, they're eager to get going, they're concerned about their kids, school or a job relocation or whatever the case may be. And it's healthy and really valuable to always remember, like, wait, they are going through a really, really emotional journey right now. They may be tense about, money or have memories associated with the home or whatever the case may be, or thinking about a potential gain or a loss. And that's the experience of the client. And I constantly am reminding myself that because, like you said, when you're doing it day in and day out, it's easy for us to forget that.
Right.
But that never changes. And it's so seldom that they go through the experience, like I said earlier, once every 7 years, that it's really, really important that we take care of our clients, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. And you just have to no, it's not an option. You've got to just fit it in and make it work. And, it doesn't, if you're on the road or, you're in between appointments. I mean, I know we're all busy and we have kids and different parts of times in our lives, but you just kind of have to make it work and figure it out.
What's your biggest challenge, Debbie?
Today it's the market,
Okay.
for sure. Today is and then my biggest challenge before, and I'm kind of working through this now, but I've never had a CRM in 35 years. It's just kind of always been, I never used to calendar things. I mean, now kids are grown and it's like, people are like, when are you going to retire? Never. So now I'm trying to get hyper organized so I can keep in touch with people and I know who I should be keeping in touch with. So I'm now working with a company on it, really working that CRM and I'm doing we're doing a panel, seniorsnextchapter.com. If you want to copy it, seniorsnextchapter.com. I don't want to say next move because I don't want them to move if they're not ready, but they do have to be educated from what's a senior community look like? Who would you get in touch with for that? What does a 1031 exchange and a Delaware statutory trust look like? If you want to age in place. So it's a senior for now senior, 60 and plus, 55 and plus. It could be anyone who is eventually going to be there. They should get their information now. So this company is helping with the postcards and the website and all of the different components to promote an event. So that has been my challenge, and I'm working through it right now because I'm a control freak on my branding. So like you couldn't tell. But I think a lot of people are not organized with the CRM and not organized with keeping in touch with their sphere. So I think now that I'm working through it, it's taken me a while to get here.
You mentioned earlier that you mentioned about a morning ritual. Do you have a morning ritual?
I do.
And do you have like a typical day or a scheduled day, or walk me through like a day to day for in the life of Debbie?
Okay. Well, today is kind of crazy, but so I get up early, very early in the morning
What
when
time?
I'm so when I'm at home, because we have two kitties, I get up about 3:30, 4. And when I'm in LA, my kitties and husband are not here. So I'm at my apartment here. It's very quiet. So 5:30, 6. 6 is
Okay.
late for me. But so my morning routine, and
What
it's
time do you
mixed
go to
in.
sleep? Sorry, what time do you go to
Yeah,
sleep?
yeah, it varies, but 9, 10. And
Okay,
if we're watching TV, I'll fall asleep and then get up and then go to bed. But
sure.
yeah, I'm pretty, nighttime I'm pretty quiet. And then I love the morning so much. I spend a lot of time meditation and mindfulness on YouTube. I subscribe to it, so there's no commercials. But if I do want to get a little bit more sleep, I'll listen to a meditation that will kind of let me rest a little bit more because it's 4:30 so early. And then I do a meditation, again guided from on YouTube, and I do a gratitude practice. And I usually don't work out till later, but I spend a lot of time in my mind. I do not touch my text message or emails or anything during those couple of hours. And of course I have coffee and I take vitamins and drink water, and but it's really my time to just no work at that time. I know people will, start working out and then get on the phone. No, not until maybe 8 o'clock. I'll start hitting people up.
So it's your time of the day, and then around 8 a.m., that's when you start work?
Yes, and then I'll start with the text messaging and getting back to people, and I love to work with if I have people on the East Coast because they're 3 hours ahead. So
Sure.
the people who are part of my CRM, they're 3 hours ahead, so they should definitely be working. Yes, and then I start, and then my husband gets up, and when he gets up, it'll be like, okay, and because I wear my headset when I'm watching, I definitely go in, so I'm watching the YouTube or listening to the YouTube meditations. If he gets up early because the kitties woke him up, I'll be like, stop talking. I'm not, we're still in morning time. It's no talking. And then once I go, I'm kind of like, just go, and I'm just working on just all cylinders go. But so today, let's give you today. So this morning I had my business networking at 7:50 this morning after I spoke with my husband. And
And that was live, face to
no,
face, or Zoom?
no, he's no, it was just on the phone because he's up north and I'm in LA because
No,
I
I
also.
mean the business networking. Was that live
Oh
or,
no,
or
it's
Zoom?
it's on Zoom. Yep, it's
Yeah, okay,
once a month in person, which makes it nice so I can be there when it's in person, and then
sure.
I could be anywhere. I do it from Cabo when we're in Cabo and wherever I am, but I always like to be number one in my B&I group. So I give the most referrals and I attend most of them. So B&I is from 7:50 to 9:15. And what I love about B&I is it's very concise, so I can plan. And then I had a few work phone calls. My husband is the broker, so I had to check with him on a deal we're working on. I had a few client calls, and then at 10:30 I was on with a coach in New York that I work with. She's a video coach, but we're also working on some other things, and I'm writing a book. And then my meeting today with you, and as soon as I leave here, I'm going to a women's networking event. And then I just have a bunch of paperwork and DocuSigns and contract stuff I have to get out. And then I'm getting a haircut, and then I have another networking meeting.
And that's a typical day for you?
It's pretty much. And if it's not a meeting, like a group that I'm part of, then it'll be face to face. So that's one
Yeah.
thing BNI taught me And I spoke about building relationships, but BNI in the last couple of years really taught me about making the date and sitting in front of someone, even for 10 minutes. So I've been
How
doing
long have you done BNI?
just a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
I'm a natural networker, but like I love to help people, so it's easy for me to connect people. I'll be on a podcast like this and I'll say, "Oh, you need to talk to that person." Like my mind just connects that way. But so now I try to get in front of a person one on one just to have a conversation and learn, how can I help you? And it just kind of gives you a purpose, and it just is very structured, and I like that.
Yeah, one of the rules I made, I got divorced a few years ago, and when that happened, I made a rule that I have to be outside my house once a day with a human being
Good.
physically, so that
Yeah.
could be at the gym, you got, normally go to a class, that type of stuff, or it could be a coffee or something. And I haven't missed a day. I don't think
Good for you.
that, and it's vital. It's vital for my mental health and
Yes.
well-being. And Zoom doesn't count. This doesn't count because it's just there's a different type of energy
Right.
to be face to face with somebody rather than on Zoom. I mean, I'm on Zoom all day long. I'm sure you are as well. And
Yeah.
being
No,
face to face is pretty vital.
it is. It's very important. I'm visual, so it's like I remember the conversation I had, where we were. On Zoom, it's different, right? I mean, we did have a quick little conversation of where you are in Virginia, and I know some
Sure.
people, so I have that visual.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting there at Mulberry's having coffee, and there's a feeling, there's an experience, and then you can draw from that when it's time to refer them, or you need them for something, or you want to connect them with something. But it's super important. We tell our agents that we have 80 agents in our just in our two offices that my husband is the broker of, and we tell them, you can't just be at home. You have to come to the office, be present,
Yeah.
interact with the other agents. You never know what you're going to learn. But so many people sit at home and they're just waiting for the business. Well, it's not going to come to them. They need to get out. One of my other things is look for the magic, look for those opportunities you don't know. So when you leave every day your house that once a day, or I'm sure you leave more than that, but when you're out, you never know who you're going to run into. You're never going to know what conversation might transpire. So you have to look for those little opportunities and that little magic.
Debbie, would you share with us a failure along the way? And I don't like even say categorizing as failure. So let me rephrase that. A learning opportunity that you would say was significant, and what happened and what did you learn?
Yes. So this one really sticks out in my mind. I mean, it's not, well, there's two, they're not really failures. It's just stuff that you learn
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
experience. So you have to educate your clients. So a client walked in during a home inspection. The buyers were doing the home inspection. The seller, my client, walked in, and she said, "Oh, the buyers said, they said the stove doesn't work. Can you fix that?" And the seller's like, "Oh, sure, we'll have that fixed." Well, it wasn't an easy fix. So what I try to do is educate, and I couldn't have stopped her. It all happened so fast, but you have to educate your clients on the littlest of things. And unless you've been through a lot of different transactions, you don't have those little things. It's not taught. These are things that just kind of happen through experience.
Experiential. Yeah.
So that's one. And then the same house, it was, it wasn't me, but it happened to my client, but it makes me aware that we have to be so careful. We're not attorneys, but we have to dot and cross, right? We have to be so careful of what our clients put on paper, because we have to protect them almost from themselves. Like the word new, you can't say if a stove is new or a refrigerator is new, is that new a day old, a month old, a year old? We never use the word new. So on this one property, I was the selling agent at the time, and the listing agent wrote the square footage, and the square footage was off. And so we never allow and so that was a whole craziness to get through. But you have to be very careful what you put on paper, because they might be nice at one point, and then all of a sudden people are fighting, like, well, the square footage is not 4,000, it's 3,500. And so you have to be super, super careful. And I'm just every transaction I learn something new, the way you have to deliver, what you can say, and I'm still checking sometimes to make sure, can I say that or is that right? So I just very important to be very careful and don't be careless with in real estate. I mean, with your
Yeah,
clients, with
it's
yourself.
it's interesting the perspective of new also, and this typically happens like for me when I'm doing an intake on a seller and I'll say, well, tell me about the property. So, oh, it's got a new roof, it's got new this and new that. And it's like, okay, well, when they lived in it for 30 years and you find out new for them was 12 years ago when they replaced the windows. It's like, it's not quite new anymore, but
Right. We remodeled the kitchen in the 90s.
yeah, yeah, and I get it. I get it
Yeah,
because for them, it is they did it. They have
right.
that that memory of doing it seems more recent than what it may have been, and but that's where you have to sort of dig down and make sure you get the correct
Right.
information. So,
Yeah.
what
We're like the referees. We have
of course, yeah. What advice would you give somebody that's listening to the No Broke Months podcast? What
to
advice would you give to them so that their life could be better?
get a mentor. Get a mentor and and don't just think of get a mentor, try to work whether you're on the seasoned agents team or not, try to follow them, go to inspections with them, go with them if you can to a listing appointment, go with them to a buyer's, and don't think about the money. You can't think about the money. Just start the business, learn what you can, shadow, and if it's like getting an MBA by training under someone who's been in the business. People get so caught up on the money. Keep your day job, keep your whatever, be a bartender or whatever, do someone's playing as a tennis coach, stay with that, do real estate, but don't get worried like, when am I going to make money? There's so much to learn, and you have to learn to network, and you have to understand the inventory. There's so many things you need to do. Do not just sit home. Every day you should be in that office. You should be sitting next to, I always tell people, my husband likes to be in the office front and center. I like to be floating around, but he likes to be in the office. Sit next to him, listen. The people who have continued to stay in the business in our office who started, they used to sit right next to Adam and listen to him. He's talking to multiple agents a day, hearing problems that most of us will never even hear, because that's what he does. He's troubleshooting for these agents who have questions. And if you're sitting there listening, and then you're there so someone can say, okay, come with me to the home inspection, come with me to the pest inspection, just be present, be present.
Love it, Debbie. How can somebody get in touch with you, either for a referral to your marketplace or to learn more or mentorship or just get connected with you? How can they do that?
They can Google me at Debbi DiMaggio. You'll find me everywhere. It's Debbie, Debbi, no E in Debbie, or call me at 510-414-6777, or find me on Instagram, Debbi DiMaggio. I'm everywhere else too, but Instagram's probably the quickest. And give me a call. I'm happy to answer your questions, happy to coach you, and would love to work with you in your real estate deals. And however I can be of service, I'm here to do so.
Debbie, thank you for being gracious with your time today. I appreciate you. Wish you continued success. Best of luck. No Broke Bronx podcast listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us today. Until next time, have the best day of your life. Be grateful, make good choices, go help somebody, and God bless you. Take care.